Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Mentor Mondays. I am Morgan Boykin, joining you for the second time as, our community and volunteer coordinator here with SC Code. So I'm really excited to be back with you and to have a chance to connect with all of you out there, but also a chance to connect with one of our wonderful mentors. So today with us, we have a volunteer, Patrick Abernathy. He will be joining us in just a second. Patrick is a graduate of Francis Marion University in 2006 with a bachelor's degree in computer science and mathematics. After graduating, he got married and now has 2 boys and an overly excited puppy. He joined ACS Technology in 2009, starting as a customer service rep. And in 2010, he moved to research and development as an associate software engineer. A couple of years later, he moved into the IT department and is still currently with the department as a senior software engineer. His primary focus is creating applications and processes that use AWS, and he is the lead developer and architect for that firm. So we're really excited to have Patrick on today. He is not new to excited to have him back and chat with him a little bit more about what he does, his role, his company, a little bit about his background, and then answer any questions that you all may have out there. So I will welcome to my left, right, I can't tell which one, Patrick Abernathy. Thanks so much for joining us again.
Hey, Morgan, how's it going?
Pretty good. How about you? Good. Well, we will jump right into it. And if you could just give us a little bit, I gave a short rundown, but tell us a little bit about your educational background and kind of how you became interested in tech.
I always say that's a really long-winded story for me.
Yeah.
I actually started C++ back when I was 12. I was one of those kids that was always infatuated with computers, so it's always been something I knew I was going to do. So did a lot of web stuff in high school, and then went to Francis Marion, got my computer science degree, and long story short, ended up at ACS and been there for almost 12 years. So.
Awesome. And what is ACS? What do they do? What do you do there?
ACS is actually, I think last I heard, #1 software for church management software. They call it. So they are some of the biggest writers for the software in that field. Let's see. Man, I just went blank all of a sudden. I'm sorry.
So that's okay. It's almost Thanksgiving. It's okay.
Yes, the week of Thanksgiving, so our brains are already shutting down on the vacation time. So I apologize.
No worries.
So with ACS Technologies, back there, they started out writing all the desktop software, handling contributions, member status, all that stuff, and all the accounting software. I actually started with them working in their school software. Then from there went and started working on their accounting package for the web software that they're using now, which is our primary, what we sell now. It's called Realm. And then about 6 years ago, I think I went into IT and been there doing a little bit of everything. But the last couple of years, my focus has all been AWS cloud computing and using that, leveraging that stuff to help move our company forward. One of our big pushes is getting stuff off-prem. So we have huge data center and we're actually trying to shrink it. So.
Awesome. And I don't think we said this at the beginning, or I didn't introduce this. Where is ACS and where are you located?
Both of us are in Florence. So I grew up in Columbia, came down Francis Marion in Florence, met my wife there. So we've been married and stayed in Florence ever since. So,
gotcha.
If you're ever driving down I-95, you'll see right where you hit I-95 and I-20, you'll actually see the 2 tan buildings right there. And that's ACS. Gotcha.
Definitely not so familiar with ACS, but definitely familiar with that drive down to Myrtle Beach and hitting that road. So absolutely.
You definitely drive right past us. So.
Okay, perfect. So if you're ever on your way to the beach, you know where to find them. Awesome. So you touched on it a little bit, but could you tell us about your day to day? What do you do? I'm sure it's varied, but if you could give like a high level overview of your day and your responsibilities, what does that look like?
Uh, this one I'm going to be rather vague because, like you said, I do something different constantly. I work on a team that's pretty much originally they called us the ad hoc team. If it needed to be done, I went and did it. So what I do they vary greatly. But really, especially with IT, I don't write. Our team doesn't write software for the customers. For ACS customers, our customers are actually our employees. So we write all our sales applications, all the system integrations we do, data warehouse, a little bit of everything, but it's all internal. We do very few customer facing applications.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Very cool. And so I assume you enjoy it and love what you do, and are passionate about your work. But you talked a little bit, I guess, about kind of knowing early on that working with computers or working in tech is something that you knew that you wanted to do. If you could look back to, I guess, earlier in your career, at the beginning of your career, what would be some advice that you would give yourself or some lessons learned of things you wish you would have known?
That's another tough one. One thing, especially with computer field, one thing you have to do is you have to be fairly aggressive with what you want to do. You can't just. I actually found myself that I was very just go with the flow kind of person, and you can be a good developer and go with the flow, but if I always wanted to learn something, always do something, always get higher up in the, as you would say, corporate structure, but it was more so that I wanted to be more involved. So one thing I wish I would have told myself is to be a little more aggressive or a lot more aggressive early on and get some of your certifications, learn some stuff on your own time. Don't just sit and hold a chair down and type out on your keyboard from day to day. Make yourself known. So
that's awesome advice and probably applicable through in lots of different fields, but I can definitely understand the need for that in tech specifically. So I guess in the same vein of taking on that personal accountability, what do you think are some opportunities that are out there in the tech world as far as careers or growth opportunities or opportunities for different exposure to different things? What are some opportunities as you see it?
Actually, as much as I hate to say it with the whole COVID thing going on, there's some big opportunities or companies all over have stopped doing a lot of their corporate events, like using AWS as an example. AWS Reinvent is their big yearly conference, but all that stuff right now is free. You can actually go online and Google's was free. Tableau is a big data. Theirs was free this year. AWS reInvent, like I said earlier, is free. Actually, registrations now if y'all are interested for it. So they're going to actually have all that stuff online. So some good opportunities for learning and getting ahead of the game there. I'm also a big proponent of suggesting people go check out tech colleges, even if it's just take one or two classes here and there. Because Francis Marion, all their classes are super expensive. But you can actually go and, you can go down to tech and for little, maybe even next to nothing, take some classes there. Google's even recently, I think we were talking about it on the SC Coach Chat at one point. Google's coming out with a new 6-month certificate program. So I think anybody who really wants to take it seriously, that'd be a good opportunity to look at it. And it's all online. It was originally all online anyway. So as much as I hate the whole COVID thing, there's a lot of opportunity out there right now to learn some stuff.
Absolutely. Taking advantage of that. Now everyone is in this virtual environment, which again leads into wondering, as you see it, what has been the overall, obviously everything has kind of moved virtual, but what do you think has been the tech industry's response to COVID? Or what have you seen change or happen because of the awful pandemic that we're in? Do you see any glaring response from the tech industry?
Well, I can only speak from our company. You'll notice a lot more people are starting, you'll see it in the news too, a lot more companies are willing to allow people to work remotely. So no longer are you stuck at, in Florence looking for jobs in Florence, because you'll have people who are hiring remotely all over the place. Even our company who was very strong about not working remotely, we've actually changed our rules now. We're going to move back to the office some, but it is looking like you'll have more opportunity to go back to your other question. We'll have a lot more opportunity to work globally. So, because the tech industry realizes, hey, it kind of works, and people actually get their jobs done. So,
yeah, totally. Obviously I'm very new to SC Codes, but I have been at companies or organizations where there was such a strict policy about working from home, and it's like everyone has really had to prioritize productivity over position or location. So I would imagine that's the same for you all as well.
Definitely.
Awesome.
And it does take us as a person though, because it is self-motivating. So you have to. It is nice to be able to sleep until 7:30 and be at work at 7:45 every day. But
exactly.
But you do have to make that commitment to go sit at your computer, because it is super easy to not sit at your computer. So
yes, I can totally agree with you there. Totally. Well, thinking about your relationship with us, SC Codes, can you tell us a little bit about what you do with SC Codes, or what you've done, or some things that really excite you about SC Codes as a whole?
Sure. Florence was made one of the cohorts, obviously, before COVID happened. And that did me and a couple other people from ACS and a couple of the other developers actually held I think they were called cohorts back then. God, it's been so long. The meeting.
It was like another year.
It was. Was that only a year ago? So we were doing that here, where we were doing the face-to-face, and then I've done one of the mentors. I've tried to be active on Slack, so trying to stay involved with the community and help everybody wherever I can.
Awesome. And did you say, I might have missed this and don't know this, have you led a course yet with SC Codes?
I haven't done one. I've only done the self-paced ones. I haven't done I know a couple of the mentors, we were talking about starting one here right when everything shut down. So I actually had planned to do one, but that kind of got railroaded. So
yeah. Hashtag 2020. I think we're all just responding there. Awesome. Well, I will open it up for everyone who's out there listening to us for some questions. But while we wait for some questions to come in, if there are any, I'd love to know, kind of in reflection back on your college days. I don't know if we spent too much time on that. What was your course load like? What were some things you were involved in? How did you kind of groom, I guess, that passion for tech and the industry as a whole while you were taking coursework?
Man, starting off. I mean, with Francis Marion, it was all about, now I've gotten on college before. Obviously, I'm going to refer back to that conversation we had back on the Slack channel one time. It's like the 4-year program sometimes can get a little long-winded for a lot of people. So, but, I also double majored in math. I really enjoyed the math. So I hate to say it, I actually enjoyed the math program more than the computer science program. So,
it's okay. You're in a safe space.
Graduates out there, but it is what it is. So. But no, I mean, it was tough. There's some great professors down there, and they really challenge you. So it's not one of those things you're just going to float by. And that was actually something I had to learn myself. So I took 2 years off between high school and college, so it was hard getting started again. So.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations many years later for finishing it and doing so well. Awesome. I know we're waiting, or we have a few questions coming in. So anything else, any advice you'd like to give to students who are maybe on the fence about picking up a class, just getting started? Is there anything that you can say to kind of encourage them or let them know that, like you said, it's hard, and I can imagine that getting through some of our coursework, there are probably some sticky points as well with just that self-motivation. So any words of advice you can lend there?
My big thing is, and I see it happen a lot, is don't get discouraged with it. Programming's not easy. So I've seen a lot of people try to get involved with it. Sorry, I got a pop up on my screen. I've seen a lot of people start getting into it and then they get discouraged. They don't know or can't get the right answer. I mean, there's, even to this day and age with me, I mean, there's always something to learn. You're not going to know all the answers. So pick something, try it out. SE Codes has got the great Slack channel. I know there's a number of us still trying to stay, or still rather active in there. So you can always reach out. Francis Marion used to allow you to go in audit classes for free, actually. Obviously, I don't know if they're still doing that. But it might be something worth looking into, just to get your feet wet into something, see if you like it or not. Because a lot of people are like, I don't know if I'm going to like it or not. You can usually go at least audit a class or take a virtual class, or plenty of things online to just try it,
Yeah.
Give it a whirl,
Absolutely.
basically. But don't get discouraged if you don't get the answer right. So
good advice. Good advice. We do have some questions in, Patrick, if you don't mind. You said that you have done a lot of stuff. What would you recommend for someone who likes computers but isn't sure how to narrow that down to a first job?
I would say internships are a good way to go. The computer field, that was actually a question I had early on. I just like computers in general, so I didn't know if I was going to go into networking and hardware or software. Just kind of went with it, but I know like ACS is always they actually do interns in the IT side, and they do a lot of interns on the software side. So it gives you an opportunity and make some money doing it to get in there and just try some stuff. So usually a lot of them will be summer internships. So you're only stuck in it for a couple months.
And how would you find out about those opportunities? Just going to the website, or?
Yeah, ACS actually has theirs posted, I think, usually under the careers. And I think there was another company, SE Codes, actually said they were looking to hire some interns. So, there's a new channel there, so we'll definitely start popping up whenever we see something show up.
Awesome.
But, you can't, the other thing I always say is don't wait. Earlier back when I said be aggressive, don't wait for it to come to you, because it's not. So you got to go out there and look. We try to get it to you, but, it's not going to always be, it's not going to fall in your lap typically. So.
Got it. Noted. Let's see. What is your favorite part of being a developer?
I like to create stuff. My favorite part, and I'm trying to, the reason I hesitate, I didn't have a good way of saying that. Whenever you create something and actually get it out and see it working, I mentioned briefly earlier, I created our email system that we're using corporately. So all our corporate emails and most of, 3 million emails a month go through a system that I wrote. I designed it, I wrote it. It's just fascinating to see that stuff get out there. And I know that's high level, but then you got like the little things. It's like I got a little button on my desktop. I click it and it turns my lights on downstairs. So, it's just fun. I love seeing stuff just work. So I'm like a little kid sometimes after doing your art project. You just love showing everybody. So.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So cool to be able to call that your job, something that is that much fun.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes it's like programmers are almost artists. You have an idea and you create it. It's just you create things in code instead of with paints and crayons and pencils. So.
Yeah, I love that. Programmers. I think we should note that in the chat. Programmers are like artists. Very cool. Okay, we have another one here. What's the best advice you could give to someone starting to interview for developer roles?
Having a portfolio handy if you're getting in there. If you're actually going for a junior developer job, a lot of them now are giving skills tests. So, having a small portfolio, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. Just say, hey, I've done this. And I would definitely brush up. And obviously, I mean, it's just interview 101, know the company you're going into. So, but we see a lot of people coming in nowadays that will actually have portfolios of, even if it's college stuff, it's just like, hey, I wrote this in college or wrote this in my spare time, or, if you got a little web address of a personal website or something, if you can show that you've actually doing stuff, it actually will take you a long way outside of someone who just comes in and says, I want to be a programmer, but I haven't done it. If you had just something, it'll actually really help you out.
Nice. That's great advice. So let's see. All right. So thinking about you as a mentor, which we're excited to have you as, what would be some advice that you would give to someone who's on the fence about joining the community as a mentor in any capacity?
My advice would be to try it, It's actually super easy right now because it's all on Slack. And if you get a little intimidated, you can just kind of be the quiet, silent type.
Those are welcome too, yes.
Yeah. I mean, a question may ask that suddenly you're the only one who knows. So, the more mentors we can get in there, the more collective knowledge we have. So, I mean, I'm pretty good at a couple languages I know, but we've got a Ruby on Rails module, and I can't help anybody on that one. So, more we can get in there, the more we can help. Even if you only been doing it for a year or two, you pick up a lot in a year or two. So.
Very true. I can just chatting with you all, with you mentors in the last month or so, I feel like my brain is exploding with tech terms and knowledge. So I would agree with you there.
We do love our acronyms.
Yes. There's one for everything. I am curious, have you had any moments as a mentor or as a volunteer that have stood out to you of like, that was really cool, or I enjoyed working on that, or enjoyed connecting with that person? Have you had any of those moments as a volunteer other than being on Mentor Mondays, which obviously is your favorite part?
Yeah, those are awesome. Actually, I'll tell my wife the coolest thing that I've had at SC Codes was actually our first, was it our first or second one that I've ever done? I actually had a kid was brought there by his dad. He was, 15 years old, and then sitting, on the other side of the room was a lady who was 60 years old. So,
wow.
It was just fascinating, and I really loved it that, everybody can get involved in it. I mean, anybody can do it. So programming is one of those things that doesn't care what your age, or anything else is, So I told my wife, I thought that was the coolest thing I'd seen. It's just a room from 15 to 60, and everybody was there, and everybody was having a good time. Everybody was learning something. So
that's awesome. Well, thank you. On behalf of SC Codes, of course, for doing Mentor Monday, never too old or young to learn. Love that. Of course, for doing Mentor Mondays, but for being a volunteer, sharing in the community, being on Slack. So if you're out there in SC Codes land and you do decide to join us as a learner or join us as a volunteer, Patrick is always hanging out in our Slack channel, hanging out with us over there. So you can reach him there if that's okay.
Yep. I sit at my computer all day with Slack up, so I'm here way too much. So.
Great. That's perfect. Well, if there aren't any other questions, maybe we'll give it a minute or two to see if we have any, but I definitely would like to thank you again, Patrick, and hope you have a wonderful holiday. And we'll come back and finish out this year.
Well, I appreciate it. Well, I hope everybody has a good Thanksgiving, Christmas, and all that. So.
Thanks so much. Thank you all. Great to see you again.